It's time for the Drugless Doctor. Call a friend or family member now and let them benefit from today's exciting and life-changing program. If you want to lead a healthier life, the time is now.
Hello, this is Dr. Bob, Anthony, and Debbie DeMaria. We'd like to welcome you once again to the Drugless Doctor. And tonight, or today, we're going to be talking about information that will make a difference between life and death, having Alzheimer's or not, having depression or having a happy, healthy life. And we're going to be talking about something that's been quite controversial, actually since the 1950s. It's about fat. And I recently read an article in one of the major business magazines in the United States called Fat Reconsideration. It was talking about the history in America today about heart problems, and it can be traced back until the 1950s, where there was a research scientist who was dead bent on proving that cholesterol and other animal products were the main reason that we have had heart problems. Well, as you delved into the information, you found out that his research was skewed. Kind of interesting, isn't it? As a matter of fact, in 2009, over 300 peer-reviewed articles were retracted. That means that the information was fabricated. Well, when you talk about oil today, and we're in the new millennium right now, there have been people that lips have quivered when they have had conversation with me when I suggested to them they may consider adding flax oil to their life. And as a side note, I would encourage all of you sitting in our office right now or watching us online, you want to be taking at least 1 tablespoon of this organic omega nutrition flax oil. It has high lignans in it. It's 1 tablespoon per 100 pounds. When you take this home, you get a skewer with something really long and very hard and stir the bottom and store it upside down. Debbie will tell you when I give her a moment to speak here in a minute that she puts it on her salad. But I briefly want to talk to you about 2 fats. This is an omega-3 fat. This is linoleic acid. This is a precursor food that ends up in your brain being a fat called DHA, which is a long-chain fatty acid, or a fat for your heart called EPA. Now, I've been really blessed and I've written several books, but one book was on ADHD. So if you have issues with ADHD, whether a child or an adult, or depression, or mental or emotional challenges right now, and you've been avoiding oil and fat, well, it's time to add oil and fat to your system once again. 1 tablespoon per 100 pounds. The fat that I would avoid, and you could write this down, is no canola oil and no soy oil. I don't care what anybody says. You don't want any soy in your body. You want no canola oil in your body at all. Then we have the omega-6 fats, which would be linoleic acid. That is safflower oil and sunflower oil. These are okay oils, but what happens in America today, we eat too much of it, and it can cause pain and inflammation. So in your body, if you're consuming too much omega-6 oils, or if you're consuming trans fat or sugar, that sabotages your body's ability to put the fire out. As chiropractors, we're very concerned about the function of your joints and in your health. And what we have been blessed to learn, that what you eat is going to do 1 or 2 things: cause pain or take it away. And we have many practice members that come to see us from around the world that nobody's ever told them this before. Dr. Anthony.
Well, one of the things that I would encourage you right now as you're watching this program is you can go to our website, which is www.druglessdrs.com, and click on the blog section, because we share all of our TV program outlines on our blog page. That way you can get the information that we're talking about. You can even print it out so that you can reconnect with some of the information that we've said here this evening. But I want to reiterate a few things that Dr. Bob's talking about and why this might be important for you at home. Is you may or may not even realize that there are different types of fats or oils in the foods that you're consuming. So I know that Dr. Bob mentioned soy oil or canola oil or partially hydrogenated oil. What you would want to do is look at your ingredient list. So if you see canola oil or any of those other oils that we were talking about, you would want to put those down because they're going to be high in omega-6s. So at the beginning of the program, Dr. Bob briefly mentioned Alzheimer's, dementia, even schizophrenia, ADHD. Those are all challenges due from a lack of oils, because those are going to be tending to be higher in omega-6s. So even the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is really, really super important, because you want to have a smaller ratio. So what does that mean? So usually that omega-6 ratio is always going to be greater than omega-3, but anything under 10-to-1 ratio is really what you're going to be striving for. So if that rings a bell with you, what I would encourage you to do is just to Google omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Once that ratio starts to become over 10-to-1, 20-to-1, 25-to-1, that's going to start to really impact your overall health and well-being on the inside of your body. So one of the things that we'll talk about a little bit later is an essential blood spot fat test that you can do. And that'll even let you know your ratio, so that you could even predict in the future if you're going to be prone or susceptible to a challenge like that. So this evening I would encourage you to take some notes, so that you can really have this information to be able to impact your friends and your family members, because we all need oils, especially living in this country, being surrounded by processed foods or fats that are high in omega-6s.
I really think that I would like to reiterate too something that Dr. Bob recently said, and one of it is he talked about flax oil. I do want to say, please do not heat flax oil. So it's very important that you're not really doing cooking, but it's a wonderful oil to do with your recipe for salad dressings, or to put on your salad just as is. I think having it over gluten-free oatmeal, organic oatmeal, and organic brown rice is also some way to get it into not only yourself, but into your family, because it has a nutty taste to it, and it's very, very important. I do believe that you need to become label savvy as a consumer, and I'm usually the grocery shopper. I want to talk to you about a healthy food that often has unhealthy oils in it. So for example, yesterday I was shopping for hummus. Hummus is a very healthy food, especially if you make homemade hummus, which is very simple to do. But hummus oftentimes has two oils that Dr. Bob and Dr. Anthony have both stated that are not good for you, and it is canola oil and soy oil are much of the time in the hummuses. And you're going to question, you're going to say, why are they doing that to us? The answer is it's a cheaper oil to put in to make more money for the food processors, and that's basically what it is. What do you think, Dr. Bob?
I think that today that people are being really duped, and I want you to know this, and I've seen this happen to many people. If you do not have enough oil, or you've been on a low-fat diet, you have a greater chance to have gallbladder issues and even gallbladder surgery. And I've seen that happen many, many times in our practice. We have an epidemic of individuals who have had their gallbladders out. But your liver, which is the organ in your body that helps process oil, is a great and an important marker for your overall health. And what we're seeing in our practice right now is that we are actually seeing individuals that are having fatty livers. I mean, this is epidemic. Nearly every day when we have a new practice member come into our office, your liver usually stops right about the lower end of your rib cage on the right side. We have individuals right now that are coming into our office whose livers are extending down into their pelvis. And you say, well, what is that from, Dr. Bob? Well, that's from eating more than likely high fructose corn syrup and too much fruit. If you listen to us any length of time, we don't promote fruit. The only fruit you should eat is a half an apple every day. Besides that, you're going to have pain and inflammation. Bringing that back to oil, your liver is the organ that helps process oil. It's the organ that helps take care of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. Now, I want to briefly talk to you about this blood spot test, because Dr. Anthony made a very, very important point. In our practice, we have a lot of people, obviously, that come to see us because they have pain. And we will normally have people write down and they journal their diet. If someone is not responding and or at different levels in their choice for health care, we encourage them to have a blood spot test done. We can send this blood spot kit anywhere in the world. I'm going to tell you a story, a couple stories actually. We had one individual that had MS for 14 years. She happened to hear me speak at the Mustard Seed down in Akron, Canton. We did a blood spot test on her. Her body needed 6 grams of oil a day. See, what happens is your body sends messages on a layer of fat called the myelin sheath. Her body was starving for oil. Back in the 2000s, early 2000s, Debbie and I did some research, and we have a book on ADHD. We had this one young lady that came into our practice who was having major emotional and behavioral challenges. We did the blood spot test on her. Now listen to me. She tried to commit suicide 3 times. 3 times. When we did the blood spot test on her, she had an excessive amount of trans fat, which is the oil found oftentimes in French fries, but Debbie will tell you when she grocery shops now, we are aware that trans fat's in a lot of snack foods today. Well, when we looked at her diet, we saw her trans fat was off the chart. We supplemented her accordingly, and guess what happened to her emotions? They stabilized. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not, because I know many of you watching us right now have emotional challenges, and I just read an article the other day. 25% of all of you watching me right now at this moment that are over 50 years old, you're on a psychoactive medication. And I know that does not include me, and it does not include Debbie.
You're right, Dr. Bob, and let me just tell you, because people are going to say, all right, I feel that I eat a pretty healthy diet. Where am I getting these bad fats at? You might not be looking at your cereal box. It could be very well be in there. You might not be looking at the cookies that you have. Even the ice cream treats, oftentimes, if they have anything like a cookie with it or some crumbles, could have the wrong type of fat or oils. So you have to be very aware. Look at your snack foods, potato chips, even pretzels. All those type of things have bad fats. So it surrounds us in our environment today, and we need to be label savvy.
You know, it's really funny there when I've gone through and gone over diet sheets with individuals, and they'll say, you know, well, I can't get rid of my flavored creamer that I have in my coffee. Well, one of the things that's really interesting when it comes to flavored creamers is it's all partially hydrogenated oil that's keeping that on the shelf longer. On top of that, let's say that you're at a place traveling and they have a creamer that's not in something that's cold. It's like, this is a no-brainer. In order to make cream that's not cold, you have to have a preservative. And that preservative is going to be partially hydrogenated oil. So some of the things that we're suggesting to you are almost even so simple that along the line became, hey, I wonder how that happened. Well, if it's a wonder how that happened situation, it's more than likely there's an additive to it that's causing some challenges in your body. So what are some of the things that you can start to do right away? Become aware of what good fats are and bad fats. I know that a little bit later we'll talk about some good fats that you could be eating or consuming on a regular basis so that you can not have some of the things that we were talking about. But you really want to be aware of the bad types of fats that are in your food. So a simple way to know that would be to get foods that aren't in packages. So shop on the perimeter of the grocery store, or go to a farmer's market, or go somewhere that you are going to not have those packaged foods or processed foods that will really impact your overall health and well-being.
Before we take a short break, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your energy bars and power bars. When we are preparing for the program tonight, it is very interesting how many different oils that they are using in these bars that I would stay away from. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless Doctor. I would like to invite you to join me and our team at our practice in either Westlake or Elyria, Ohio. We are drugless doctors. Our goal is to help inform you to make wise decisions about your own health and your family's health. We will sit down with you and we will actually talk and listen to you and listen to your concerns. We have very advanced technology in our practice. We have digital video fluoroscopy, we have thermography, we have biocommunication testing. Our goal is to learn about what's going on inside of you to help you create a strategy of wellness. Wellness is not something that's really evasive. It's there. We're here to make a difference in your life. Call the number on the screen today. I promise you, you'll be glad you did. Hello, this is Dr. Bob and Dr. Anthony DiMaria with Debbie DiMaria, and thank you once again for joining us for the Drugless Doctor. And we've been talking about fats, and it's very fascinating. Debbie and I have been studying fats for years and years, and one of the reasons that we made a decision some time ago even to do a pilot program with kids that had ADHD, which we're going to be touching on this evening. Debbie.
Well, you know, I just start to think about, wow, the people in the audience, our viewing audience are going to say, you know, I thought you're chiropractors. What does chiropractic have to do with fats? So Dr. Anthony, please help them.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked it. So one of the things, and we always try to make things really simple for everybody, is our brain sits in the skull. And the brain is really important because it's the master controller of everything that takes place in our body. We can't live longer than a second without the proper messages that are being sent from the brain through the rest of the body. But the brain then continues as the spinal cord, and then off of the spinal cord come nerves that go to all the muscles, organs, tissues that take place in our body. I know that Dr. Bob mentioned previously that there's something called the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is a fat. Think of it as one of the conduit for electricity. It allows it to travel quickly throughout the body. So if you don't have enough of the good oils in your body, your brain's not able to communicate with your body like it's supposed to, which is a part of what we do in chiropractic. So in chiropractic, we assess the spine and the nervous system for interference that messes with the messages from the brain to the body. So a lot of the conditions that are related to having an imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3 oils are related with the nervous system, like Alzheimer's disease, dementia, other neurodegenerative disorders. But it would be really important for yourself is to make sure that you're getting enough omega-3 oils in your diet, but also supplementing with omega-3 oils so that your brain is properly able to communicate with the body like it's supposed to, which is really important with us in chiropractic because we know when you're interference-free, your body does what it's supposed to do, and that's miraculously heal itself as it's always been intended to do. So one of the population groups that's really, really, really important, I can't stress how important this is, that needs to be doing supplementation with some sort of omega-3 is going to be pregnant women and kids, especially babies. One of the reasons why that's important is when a mom's getting pregnant, not only is she having to deal with what's going on in her body and her nervous system, but she's developing a child. One of the things that's important is the first organ system to develop is the brain and the nervous system in the baby. So because what I just mentioned of the conduction having to do with fat, if we don't have the right type of fats, that baby's going to be more susceptible to different types of challenges throughout their life, whether it's ADHD, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's a variety of behavioral disorders. It all can be related to having the right type of fat in your body. So if you're pregnant or you have kids, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is make sure that you're doing some sort of omega-3 fatty acid. And I know that you could be a mom right now and you're watching this and like, you don't know my kids. Well, I do know kids, and Dr. Case and I have done a lot of training with pregnancy and pediatrics. And one of the things is we try to make it really easy for moms to help their kids get what they need too. So there's a product that we have in our office. It's called mixed EFAs. It's a good tasting omega-3. You can even put it on the food that you're consuming, and your kids will be able to use it, and they're going to be able to get the oils that they desire. Or if you're a mom and you have kids in high school or school and they say, Mom, you know, I have a really hard time focusing, or I'm not doing well in school, it could be because their brain doesn't have the right type of fats to be able to process the information that's going through them at such a rapid rate now because of all the technology we have. So I would really, really encourage you, if you're in a family, which I know most of you are, you're pregnant or you have young kids, is you want to make sure that you're doing some sort of omega-3 supplementation, and then you want to make sure that you're eating the right types of food. So Dr. Bob, what are some of the foods that contain a higher level of omega-3s?
Well, you're going to really want to focus on walnuts. Walnuts are a great source of omega-3 type of precursor because it has to go through steps. Any green food, flax, green beans, will also, you know, people don't think about green food as having oils in them. Grass-fed beef. See, if you have grain-fed beef, it's not the same as grass-fed, so you really want to focus on eating the right sourced animal product. The avocado is an omega-9 oil, so the avocado is very similar to olive oil in your body. Now, a couple other thoughts is that we have a variety of oils here. This happens to be a marine-based omega-3 fat. By taking, let's say, 1 or 2 teaspoons of this on a regular basis, and you don't want to be taking oils if you're on a blood thinner, unless you're having your blood monitored, this directly becomes a fat in your brain called EPA or DHA. Those are long-chain fatty acids. What I'd encourage you to do right now is go to our website, which is druglessdoctorsdrs.com, and look around and navigate and go to our store and find a book that I wrote called Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide. It goes into great detail. You could just go to any search engine and just type in Dr. Bob Trans Fat, and that book will show up. This is a marine-based product. Flax is a plant-based, listen, I'm going to word this now, precursor food. This has to go through steps to become an omega-3 fat. That's very important because when we wrote the book on ADHD, we learned that trans fat sabotages your body's ability to make oil. Now, we could talk to you for hours just on this subject alone, and we're only here with you for brief moments. If you have ADHD or any kind of emotional challenge, once again, go to your favorite search engine and type in Dr. Bob ADHD. This is the omega-3 fats in a capsule because some people have an issue with taking a liquid. We encourage you should be taking some kind of oil regularly. And finally, this is mixed EFAs. Dr. Anthony talked about essential fatty acids. There are basically 2 of them. Linolenic acid, which is the omega-3, and linoleic, which is 6. This has the appropriate ratio. I know it seems like we're in a chemistry class right now. Get the book, Dr. Bob's Trans Fat Survival Guide. And lastly, I don't care where you're at in the world right now or sitting in our office, a blood spot test. We can forecast your future health journey, help you create a strategy if you know exactly what oil that you should be adding to your supplement protocol. Debbie.
Dr. Bob, I want to talk about coconut oil, but before I talk about coconut oil, I want to stress how important oils are for people that have depression. Oftentimes we think that what they eat has nothing to do with their depressed state, even mental fogginess. So please add oils into your life and you will see that you can recreate the joy you once had.